is claiming they offered A'ja Wilson more money than Caitlin Clark to play in this league. Well, fans saw this, and they're not buying it. So Wilson's offer was more money than Caitlin Clark. Although that is...
The women's basketball world is no longer just a league. It is a rapidly expanding universe, and at its center, a gravitational shift is underway. The recent murmurs surrounding contract offers specifically the rumored figures presented to and rejected by Caitlin Clark, and the subsequent, strategically timed claims regarding an even larger offer to A'ja Wilson are not mere gossip. They are the tectonic movements of a sport grappling with its own evolution. This is a story that transcends dollars and cents. It is a narrative about legacy.
If they did do this, Caitlin heard about it and said, nah, go bleep yourselves. A'ja Wilson's drawing 450,000 viewers, and I'm drawing 2.5 million. But I also understand that she really values the offseason. That's where she has risen her...
versus momentum, about established dominance versus paradigm-shifting popularity, and about who ultimately gets to define the future face of the WNBA. The sequence of events, as it has filtered through the media, reads less like a sports transaction and more like a chess match played out in public view. The initial move was the leak. Caitlin Clark, the phenomenon who redefined college basketball, was reportedly offered a historic deal. The numbers were staggering, a contract valued well over $1 million, coupled with equity in the league itself. It was an offer designed to secure the face of the future, a golden handcuff to bind the league's most valuable asset to a specific vision. Then came the countermove. Clark, in a display of leverage that stunned the industry, declined. Her no was not a rejection of the league or the sport, but a masterclass in understanding her own market value. It signaled a player who recognizes that her power lies not in accepting the first and most lucrative offer, but in her ability to wait, to build her own brand equity, and to dictate terms from a position of unrivaled strength.
SBJ that Clark's offer was $1 million plus equity in the business. Quote, I believe they offered more than Caitlin Clark because I know what they offer.
She is not a player seeking a league. She is a player whom leagues must now court. Enter the counter-narrative, delivered almost immediately from the camp of A'ja Wilson. The message was clear and deliberate. Wilson was offered more. The implication was that the league's true cornerstone, its reigning MVP and two-time champion, was valued even higher. But the timing of this revelation was its most telling feature. It was not an announcement of a new deal or a celebration of a signing. It was a reaction. It was a quiet, calculated power play designed to recenter a conversation that had, for a moment, drifted entirely toward a rookie who had just said no. This is not a story about jealousy or petty rivalry. It is a story about the anxiety of influence, the pressure of maintaining a throne when the kingdom itself is changing. To understand the depth of this moment, one must first appreciate the world that existed before Caitlin Clark. For several years, the WNBA's hierarchy was stable, its summit occupied by a player of undeniable excellence. A'ja Wilson was not just a star, she was the standard. Her resume is a testament to...
I mean, it's a mixture of both. Like, I want to be known as one of, like, when you're talking about GOATs of the W, I need my name to be up there, at least top 3. Like, that's my goal, is like, I want something like, when you're thinking of women's basketball, when you're thinking of the W, I want my name to be on it.
Come on, tell them, A'ja, tell them.
Takes, like, whatever it needs to get there, whether it's the rings, whether it's the accolades individually, like, I want to be up there in that category.
That conversation.
Like, I need that in order for me to sleep at night.
A career built on relentless work, championship pressure, and a quiet ferocity that made her the player everyone else had to measure themselves against. A 5-time All-Star, a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, a 2-time champion, and the 2020 and 2022 MVP. Wilson's accolades are the kind that preface a Hall of Fame induction speech, but her dominance was never solely about the trophies. Wilson possessed the full package. She had the on-court power, a blend of finesse and physicality that made her nearly unstoppable in the post. She had the visibility, becoming a cover athlete and a prominent voice in the league's marketing. She had the endorsement portfolio, representing global brands and solidifying her status as a crossover star. And Most importantly, she commanded a deep-seated admiration from fans and peers alike. Young players didn't.
The way Wilson was determined to take the winter off, it goes on to talk about that she wanted to rest her body. Wilson's offer was more money than Caitlin Clark. Although that is
just want to be like her. They modeled their entire games after her. None of this was handed to her. Wilson earned her place through years of carrying the weight of expectations, through the pressure cooker of championship runs, through becoming the automatic answer to the question, who is the best player in the world? Her world was one of order and meritocracy. On her court, greatness was proven, not proclaimed. The attention, the marketing dollars, and the narrative all flowed logically from production and pedigree. She was the sun, and the league orbited around her. In this world, a promising college guard, no matter how many highlight reels she generated, was merely a distant planet reflecting a borrowed light. Then, the whispers started. They began in the cavernous arenas of the Big Ten, where a sharp-shooting guard for the Iowa Hawkeyes was doing things with a basketball that defied logic. The clips were surreal. 3 0-foot pull-up threes, no-look passes that seemed to bend space-time, and a competitive fire that could ignite an entire stadium. The numbers looked like typos. She wasn't just breaking records, she was shattering them, ascending to become the all-time leading scorer in NCAA Division I history, men's or women's. At first, for Wilson, this was a distant noise. Why would it be anything else? She was the reigning MVP, the player everyone had to go through. Her throne, forged in the fires of professional playoffs and Olympic gold medal games, felt untouchable. A college star, no matter how bright, could not rewrite that history overnight. Wilson had overcome too much, proved herself on too many big stages, to feel threatened by hype. This was her league, her era, her world. The hype would fade. The rings were forever. But the whispers did not fade. They grew into a roar. The highlight clips became full-game takeovers. The conversation shifted from, "she's good," to, "this might be the one." Clark didn't just play basketball. She became an event. Her games were must-see TV, drawing viewership numbers that rivaled NBA regular season games. She brought a cultural moment with her, a wave of new fans who were less interested in the established order and more captivated by the revolutionary. Clark's entry into the WNBA was not a traditional rookie arrival.
Decided to pass on Unrival's inaugural 3-month season starting January 17. They have a lot of money, and they offered her a lot of money.
She did not quietly join the league. She detonated within it. She arrived as a walking broadcast, a headline generator, a player who fundamentally altered what cameras followed and what sponsors prioritized. The conversation, for the first time in years, was no longer centered on who was the best player in a purely basketball sense. It was centered on who was the biggest event. This distinction is everything. This brings us back to the contract saga. The reported offer to Clark was a landmark moment. It was a deal that most athletes, at any stage of their career, would sprint toward. The money was life-changing, but the equity was legacy-defining. It was a pitch that screamed, "You are the future. Build it with us." And yet, Clark's decision to decline was not an act of hesitation or uncertainty. It was a declaration of independence. It was a move that revealed a profound understanding of her own leverage. In an economy where attention is the ultimate currency, Clark is a billionaire. By saying no, she sent a message to the league, to sponsors, and to the world that she is not for sale at any price. She understands that the first offer is rarely the best, and that true power lies in the willingness to walk away. She is not chasing the market. She is letting the market chase her. This kind of power reshapes the entire landscape. It forces everyone from the league office to fellow players to corporate partners to recalibrate. And recalibrate they did. Almost as if on cue, the counter-narrative emerged from Wilson's side. The message, delivered with strategic precision, was that she had been offered even more money. The immediate implication was a reassertion of hierarchy. The rookie's offer was historic, but the MVP's was superior. It is the timing of this claim that invites the most scrutiny. This was not a story about Wilson's own contractual achievement. It was a story that only gained relevance in the context of Clark's rejection. It reads not as a casual comment, but as a calculated move to control a narrative that was slipping away. It is a quiet power play dressed up as an offhand reveal, a strategic leak designed to pull the spotlight back to the established queen. The headline was no longer, "Clark turns down historic deal." It became, "Wilson's offer was even bigger." This maneuver raises a fundamental question. Why bring it up at all? If you are secure in your position, if you are truly the unassailable center of the universe, you do not need to remind people. You let your game, your legacy, and your trophies speak for themselves. When a player feels the need to plant a flag in the middle of someone else's news cycle, it can be interpreted in two ways. One is confidence. The other, far more telling interpretation, is anxiety. It is the reaction of someone who senses the room is shifting and is trying to slow that shift down before it becomes permanent. This saga illuminates two fundamentally different approaches to stardom, two philosophies of power in the modern sports era. Aja Wilson represents the power of legacy. Her power is built on a foundation of demonstrable, undeniable accomplishment. It is the power of the empire, maintained through continued excellence and a resume that is beyond reproach. Her response to the shifting landscape is to remind everyone of the foundations upon which her status is built. The strategic leak is a classic move of the establishment, a reassertion of the old order. It is the language of, "I was here first, I have done more, and I am still the standard." Caitlin Clark, on the other hand, represents the power of gravity. Her power is not built solely on her collegiate accolades or her rookie statistics, but on her ability to alter the environment around her. Her gravity is so strong that it pulls attention, money, and control toward it, regardless of the existing hierarchy. Her decision to remain silent after her rejection is the louder move. Silence, in this context, is not passivity. It is the ultimate expression of leverage. It says she does not need to fight for validation in the public square. She is negotiating from a position where the market must come to her, on her terms. This is the power of the paradigm shifter. The contrast between these two approaches is stark. Wilson's camp makes sure the world hears her number immediately, a move designed to control the conversation. Clark remains quiet, measured, and lets the void her silence creates amplify her power. One is a response to a threat, the other is an indifference to it. This dynamic forces us to reevaluate what it means to be the face of the league. For years, that title was awarded based on a clear equation. Dominance plus championships equals the face. Wilson fit that equation perfectly. But Clark has introduced a new variable, cultural impact. The face is no longer just the best player. It is the player who drives the most conversation, who moves the most merchandise, who brings in the most new viewers, and who has the most leverage off the court. At its core, this isn't about $1 million offer or a fleeting headline. It is about control. For years, the WNBA's identity and marketing flowed from on-court production. The league's stars were made in the fire of competition, and their value was intrinsically tied to winning. Aja Wilson built her empire within that system, mastering it, and becoming its ultimate symbol. Then Caitlin Clark arrived, and effectively changed the rules of the game without changing the sport itself. Her power is derived from a different source. It comes from her ability to make people watch, to turn a Tuesday night game in Indianapolis into a national cultural event. When she walks into an arena, the cameras pivot, the energy shifts, and the conversation follows. She has not just joined the league's economy, she has become a primary force in shaping it. This is what makes veterans uncomfortable. It's not jealousy, and it's not fear of competition on the court. It's a deeper, more existential realization. Being the best might no longer automatically mean being the center. The crown might still be yours on the hardwood, but the spotlight is a fickle, drifting object, and there is no defensive scheme you can draw up to stop it from moving. The old blueprint, where respect and attention were earned through years of toil and victory, is colliding with a new one, where a single player can possess such immense gravitational pull that she rewrites the entire ecosystem in a matter of months. So, when Wilson's camp ensures the world knows she was offered more, it is a reminder to sponsors, to the league office, to the fans that she is still the pillar. And she is right, but Clark's silence is a reminder of something else, that the future is not owned by the past, no matter how glorious. The league is entering a new era, where power is measured in reach, in leverage, in the ability to say no. It's an era where the most potent force might not be the one holding the most trophies, but the one holding the most cards. This tension is not going to dissipate. As the league continues to grow, we will see more of these moments, more strategic leaks, more carefully timed quotes, more attempts to steer the narrative. The spotlight is no longer a fixed object. It is a prize, a living current that flows toward the greatest source of energy. And right now, everyone can feel it shifting. The question that lingers is not who is the better basketball player. That debate will be settled on the court for years to come. The real question is far more profound. Is A'ja Wilson, the Empress of the Old Order, simply protecting the crown she earned? Or has Caitlin Clark, by her very existence, already begun to rewrite what that crown even means, transforming it from a symbol of on-court dominance to a marker of total cultural gravity? The answer to that question will determine the future shape of the WNBA, and the battle for that answer has only just begun. Stay locked in with my channel Simply Explained, your home for the truth behind the WNBA headlines.